On this edition of Knicks Verse, we are going to take a look at the Knicks versus the Phoenix Suns. Start off today with the head-to-head matchup and see where we are. In 132 games in the regular season, the Knicks have beaten the Suns 64 times, and the Phoenix Suns have beaten the Knicks 68 times, for a total of 132 games. We have not played any playoff games against them, because we are in a different conference. They are in the Western Conference, and we are in the Eastern Conference. But a little tidbit, the Phoenix Suns came into the league in 1968 and 69. So this head-to-head matchup started in the 68-69 season. Take a look a little bit, and you'll notice that we are nursing a 6-game losing streak against the Phoenix Suns. That's right, folks. We got some ground to cover. And the only reason why we are 68-64 is because we lost 6 games. And it varies typically, I'm noticing, from the schedule. If you do want to take the time, feel free on Land of Basketball to look at the series matchups. Last season, we played them April 26th and we played them May 7th. And both were losses. So one narrative going into this season in the matchup against the Phoenix Suns will be, can we get over the hump of the 6-game losing streak that we currently on? They beat us at home. They beat us away. And this is prior to them having Chris Paul as well. But Devin Booker's always been on this team. And now we'll look at game 1. I want to first see any narratives that we have. Nothing crazy. The third quarter isn't too bad. We did score 24 points. You'll notice that in the first game, which was on April 26th, the Suns beat us 118-110. We scored 36 points in the first quarter, 27 in the second, 24 in the third, and 23 in the fourth. And the Suns each quarter, they were trying their best to get to 30. And in the third and the fourth quarter, they got to 31 points, which they were able to use to beat us. Because when you score more points than the other team, you win the game. Mikal Bridges, Devin Booker, Chris Paul all went off, which is pretty cool. 54% from the field. Booker had 33, 4 and 3. Bridges had 21, 4 and 3. Chris Paul had 20 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. Ayton had 13 rebounds and 9 points. Derrick Rose off the bench paved the way with 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. Randle had 18, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. RJ helped with 17. Noel didn't really help too much. Obi was playing this game, so he was getting some minutes towards the end of the season. 51% from the field, 41% from the three-point line. Wow, so, it's kind of one of those games where the other team was better than us. We didn't have Alec Burks, and of course we didn't have Mitchell Robinson. Game 2, the Knicks lost this game 128-105, and this was May 7th, 2021. And if you notice, the trend with the Suns is that they like to score, at least last season, they scored over 30 points in at least 2 quarters. And the Knicks tried their best to make up with that firing power. So we're probably going to need some firing power against this team. Knicks scored 33 points in the first, 30 points in the second, 25 points in the third, and 17 points in the fourth. So we really lost our steam. We lost the fire. At that point, you're holding onto the ball too much. Hands have become sticky. You start to turn the ball over. You're not getting quality shots. You're not moving the ball around. Whereas for the Suns, 30 points in the first, 26 points, and then 34 points in the third, and 38 points in the fourth. That's insane. They never really took their foot off the gas pedal. Let's see who scored. Julius had 24 points, 11 rebounds. RJ helped out with 23 points and 8 rebounds. Derrick Rose, 17 points, 4 rebounds, but 6 assists. So that's the one thing we're going to look for, is can Derrick Rose continue assisting in the sense that he's going to help the team overall, but also in the assist category. Derrick Rose and his effective playing output against the Phoenix Suns will be something. Now, RJ had 8 for 22. I want to see the last game. What did RJ do? 7 for 18. Randle 6 of 17. Randle 8 of 16. Well, he did 50%, so that is a little bit better. And you could tell that he made up. Taj helped out. I really want to see Taj shoot a 3 in this game. I'm kind of hoping that he shoots a 3 in either of the games that we play against them. RJ was 5 of 11 for 3. So he's shooting a little bit better now. We'll see what happens. I want to see where we were at the time and what was going on with us and with the Suns when we eventually met up in our matchup. We're looking for April 26th and May 7th. Luckily, we could just go down. So April 26th. Oh, this is redemption. We gotta redeem ourselves because on our 9-game win streak, we lost to them. This would be a really good redemption, a good narrative going into the story. They're the reason why we lost our 9-game win streak, and we could have gotten more wins because we went on a 3-game win streak after that. And then the second game, they capitalized on us being defeated by the Denver Nuggets. And at that point, we were 34-28. And then when we saw them again, we were 37-30. And then we went on to win 4 out of 5 to bring us up to 41. Is that math? That's how it's done? 1, 2, yeah, 4 out of 5. So Phoenix, what were they doing? They were a better team, 51-21 last season. So they won 10 more games. Let's see. April 26th. So they beat us and went on a 5-game win streak. And I think they went from April 26th to May 16th. So that's 11 games. Wow. They only lost 3 games in that stretch. 3 out of the 11, not bad. And they score over 100 points. Wow. They spent most of that game 61-72 scoring over 100 points, but also allowing over 100 points as well. So they beat us and went on a 5-game win streak. They lost to Atlanta. Then they beat us and then lost to the Lakers and the Warriors. And they were on a back-to-back. Interesting. It's a good team. Quality team. Now we're going to do a little deep dive into their stats, take a look at their team, see how they match up. Overall for the season, you have one 20-point per game scorer in Devin Booker. Bridges seems to be their second option at the moment. How is it with they're kind of good at rebounding. They're actually really good at rebounding. These are strong numbers. McGee, they have Crowder as well. Crowder's getting 5 rebounds. Bridges is getting 3 for a small forward. Their assist numbers are they're okay. It kind of seems to be Chris Paul, Booker, Payne helps out, and Elfrid. Oh yeah, that's right. They do have Elfrid Payton. He gets 15 minutes a game, not bad. But they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in double digits. Not too bad. Let's see what they are home versus away this season. So they're playing somewhat to their... Some of them are playing to their stats. DeAndre Ayton jumps up. Because if you look at all splits, DeAndre Ayton goes down to 14. But at home, he's really good. Let's see what he is. Let's see what they are away. So Bridges comes up. And Ayton is... interesting. Well, he's only played 2 games. What's their shooting like this season? Who seems to be shooting well? Bridges is shooting at a pretty good clip. Pretty good from 3 too, so we got to watch out for him. Any other effective 3-point shooters? Just because Booker shoots 31% from 3, I don't think that means he's not going to stop shooting his 3-pointers. 41% from the field. DeAndre Ayton is 58%, which is given 69%. Nice, JaVale McGee, way to go. Chris Paul, almost 45% from the field. Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, Cameron Payne. These guys you don't want getting killed by them. Because those guys, once they start to get hot, they're going to start raining threes. And once those threes start going for them, they're going to get really excited. And it leaks because this team has a really good chemistry. Even though their record doesn't indicate that that's the case at the moment, it doesn't mean that they can't stop. It doesn't mean that they won't take that time because they do have that good chemistry with each other. They went to the finals, even though you can argue that they were hurt after the first 2 games, and then the Bucks just completely went the next 4 games and did their thing. The Suns can be defeated. Any team can be defeated, right? But they have a pretty good team, and if you can stop guys like Cam Johnson, Crowder, McGee, you want to make sure that it's kind of just Devin Booker beating you, or Devin Booker and Chris Paul would try your best to work on them. Those will be the guys. Those, especially with Chris Paul in the fourth quarter with like 6 minutes left or something like that. He really likes to run up the score. Talk about a guy who does not care. Even though he's up by like 12, with like a minute left, he still pours it on. So we got to keep that in mind too. Let's look at their injuries really quick, because it says DeAndre Ayton is out on November 6th. Campaign is out November 4th, and he was out for Thursday's game. Dario Saric hurt himself. Let's look at their depth and see what's going on. So they look to be using Paul, Booker, Bridges, Crowder, and Ayton. JaVale McGee's coming off the bench, Cam Johnson, Landry Shamet, and Cameron Payne. I think also Peyton kind of comes in and gives them driving ability to the rim. Someone who can be a serviceable backup point guard. 15 minutes a game is kind of perfect for someone like Elfrid Payton in small doses. And the thing is about this Suns team is the ways in which I think that we can stop them is by going inside. Because even though they have JaVale McGee, even though they have DeAndre Ayton, and they have Cameron Johnson and Jay Crowder and stuff like that, I noticed that they can leave the paint open. You can get into the paint. So I'm really hoping that Tibbs works out a strategy to get fairly creative when it comes to working from the inside out, because this Suns team is probably what I would call a modern NBA team, where they do have bigs, but they have athletic bigs that can shoot. I don't know how good DeAndre Ayton is when it comes to making three-pointers. Maybe in the future, the near future, he'll start to bring that in his repertoire. They have bigs who can shoot, because, I mean, Dario Saric is, I think, a small forward, but he's really tall, and he could shoot a three. Jay Crowder can shoot. Cam Johnson can shoot. The Suns, what they want to do is their ball movement is there, and they have one superstar who can really take over. And when it comes to Chris Paul getting into the fourth quarter, Chris Paul is going to want to score, and Chris Paul is always going to get that mid-range shot, and he's always going to get those ticky-tack fouls. Devin Booker, same thing, because he's learned from Chris Paul. He's always going to get those ticky-tack fouls. Taking that time to understand how they're looking to draw their fouls, how they're looking to draw their men in, they're going to have two shooters at the corners, almost ready, sometimes even just camping out, waiting for a Chris Paul assist. So we're very, very open to that. You got to be very aware of that sort of game that they're trying to play, because they are going to manipulate the game. The thing is, especially when they played against the Bucks, you can drive in on them. And I think that's what Giannis understood and took advantage of. So I'm really hoping that players like D Rose, players like RJ now, who is not only driving, but can drive to the rim with that lefty finish and sometimes even the righty finish. And he can finish at the rim. It's RJ. It's Julius Randle has the ability to do that, even though I kind of like RJ a bit more, because RJ has shown me that in those times, that shot goes in under less duress and it's smoother off the backboard. But D Rose, IQ can do that as well. Kemba to a certain degree. Fournier likes the little floater more than anything else. So keep your eyes out for lobs from the Knicks if they do try to take advantage of the paint inside, which I truly, truly believe it's going to be open. Keep your eyes out for RJ, Julius, Derrick Rose, and Emmanuel quickly when it comes to trying to drive in. And I think with someone like RJ, who can now take on a Devin Booker or a Bridges, who can take them, because Randall's probably going to see Jay Crowder, most likely, or Bridges. Kemba is going to see Chris Paul. This will probably be the first time that the Knicks will have a point guard when facing Chris Paul, another guy that can shoot a three with the ability to shoot the three. This will be a very interesting matchup overall. I do want to take a look really quickly at the Knicks and where we are 6-3. The Phoenix Suns are 4-3 right now in their division. They're 4-3 in the league right now, but they're second in their division against Golden State, who are 7-1. Holy cow. And the Lakers are 5-4, so who knows what's going to happen with this thing. Sacramento typically isn't that good, but they're over 500 right now. Very weird this season. So if you notice, RJ's almost hitting that 20 point per game clip. How are we rebound wise? RJ is almost at 6. You notice, I mean, these are stats, remember. These are just numbers. You got to understand late game situations, and you don't see these on the box score. I want to say we get more contribution overall on the assist side, but it's just Chris Paul's numbers make up for most of it. How are they with steals? Yeah, they're going to want to steal the ball. 2, 3, almost about, yeah, 5, 6 assists. Not too bad. But the thing is, it's not like they're going around blocking everybody. JaVale McGee has really good footwork. JaVale McGee is a spark plug on this team. He really, I mean, as a 3-time champion, as a gold medalist, this guy has played with big names and he knows what he's doing and he's learned a lot along the way. So someone like JaVale McGee is a guy you got to be careful for. You got to be careful for this entire team. But if you highlight certain players, a lot of players can do a lot of different things. And just because their record isn't that great now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to get better, especially after the second game, because we see them in November and then we don't see them all the way until after the All-Star break. November 26th, 2021, and then March 4th, 2022. So really before, when we're seeing them the first time, both teams are still trying to get back into a grind. They're trying to get back into the NBA season. The second game, that's game 63. So they're looking more towards the playoffs. They're looking to see what's going on, if they need to use these games as if for the Suns, for example, that is, if they need this Knicks game in March to make sure that in case they're on a losing streak that they want to beat an East team and make a statement, I think they would really try to get that March 4th game if they were in trouble come late February, something along those lines. November 26th and March 4th. Let's see what's going on in their schedule, and then we'll see what's going on in the Knicks schedule for this season. November 26th and March 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4 away games. San Antonio, Cleveland, New York, Brooklyn. 2 games at home. Okay, so they're starting to get into the mix of their schedule now. They're getting it because they played most of their games at home, so they're maybe somewhat comfortable now. And then they're going to start consistently going on the road. November 6th, home, and then November 8th, away, home, 3 games away, 3 games home, 4 games away. Now let's look at March 4th. They'll be home 4 games, and they're going to be up against the Pelicans, Jazz, Trailblazers. Yeah, that's what that's interesting. I was thinking about, we'll take a look. Let's look at the Knicks, because I was trying to mention if they're losing these games, they would be looking for teams that they think they could beat to try to pounce, to get back into the rhythm, to ignite their fire, to ignite their spark. You got to watch out for games like that, where they're looking to expend all their energy just to beat up on a team so that this way the Suns can sit out with like 5 minutes left in the fourth and they can bring in their bench players to kind of finish out the fourth. Especially during March, April, things like that, you're hoping to kind of beat teams by the end of the third quarter into the fourth with like 6 minutes left. For the Suns versus the Knicks right now, yeah, this will be a tough one. My knee-jerk reaction is to say we're going to lose this game because this is a hard schedule. After November 20th, Bulls, Lakers, Suns, Hawks, Nets, Bulls, Nuggets, Spurs, Pacers, we lost to them. Toronto, we lost to them. These can be statement games as well. As much as I can easily talk about a loss, I can easily talk about a win against these two. Making a statement game against this West team. If the Knicks really want to try, you make a statement against the Lakers, you make a statement against the Hawks, and you do your best to try to beat the Nuggets, for sure. Those are the 3 games to save face, just in case the Nets beat us and the Bulls beat us. You really want to try to get the Lakers, Hawks, and Nuggets games. But we will see the Suns on the 26th. 2-game home stretch. We'll be in the East Coast, Chicago. Yeah. It's somewhat of a toss-up, but if you look, the Knicks are home versus Pacers on the 15th. On the 17th against Orlando, but we're home. 20th, Houston, home. At Chicago on the 21st, we don't have to travel too far. Maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Nothing crazy. And then the 23rd home, we get some days off, and the 26th of November we see the Suns. So I wouldn't be surprised. Let's look at Phoenix, where they are in November. So they play the Cavs. They could probably beat the Cavs the 24th, and they got to come back. So on the 24th we'll be off, and they'll just have a day off, while we'll 24 and 25, 2 days off. So maybe that's something. Maybe that's something. My honest opinion is I think we're going to lose 0-2. But in this video, I could say, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we win the first game and we lose the second game. Because just from a schedule perspective, right? Let's see the Knicks, what they're doing in their second game against the Suns. So we are away after being home against the Thunder on the 14th, Brooklyn Nets on the 16th, All-Star break. Miami, we see them on the 25th, 27th, Philly, and then we get a little break. March 2nd, Philly, March 4th at Phoenix, March 6th at Los Angeles. Oof, man. That's going to be a little tough. This is going to be a little tough. I'm just hoping that we have Mitch, because that'll help us out a lot. And I really think if we get into the lane, I really think that if we... Because sometimes they lose their focus and they lose their man. So if we can get plays that'll get us to make the Suns confused, get into the lane, work the pick and roll really well, get our shooters ready, drive, really make sure that we don't foul them, I think the Knicks could take one of two. But I would probably say, as a prediction, 0-2. In my heart, maybe we can probably take the first game from them as like one of those. But I just think that the way how manipulative Chris Paul and his play when it comes to getting fouls, and sometimes the ability to want to play in the Garden, I think they're going to try their best to do some flashy stuff as well. Especially the November 6th game. That's why I'm saying 0-2, is because they're in New York and they're going to want to try their best to be as flashy, because it's going to be on ESPN, it's going to be on the highlights, and they're going to try to beat a Knicks team that is at this point in the process of trying to find their identity, working on the kinks, working on the little things, smoothing out the cement, if you will. So that's what I'm thinking. 0-2, but I'm hoping for 1-2, and I'm hoping for Derrick Rose to continue his high shooting. And really, I'm just hoping that we can get into the lane and not get the ball stolen from us. And Chris Paul having to run up the score with like 3 or 4 minutes left, and he's just constantly hitting threes. I think that if we get it in, lob, RJ, Julius does well, I think we could beat this team.